So this deck has only cards in it that come with the finishing the new player experience. So it's the free mono-colored decks and the 2-colored decks that you can collect just by playing. So it has 3 Siren Storm Tamers. These protect your other creatures from spells and abilities at target. 2 Chart a Course. This is a very efficient card draw spell, and this Budget Mono-Blue deck is an aggro deck, and you're going to be attacking a lot with it. So you usually get 2 cards off this, but in a pinch in the early game, you can draw 2 cards and discard 1. Departed Deckhand just lets you make another creature unblockable till end of turn. Well, unblockable except for spirits. So another Departed Deckhand could block whatever you target with this creature's ability. Kitetail Corsair is just a small evasive creature to attack with. It has flying as long as it's attacking. Diamond Mare is just some extra utility value. You cast it and you play, you pick blue, then you gain a life whenever you cast a blue spell. It also blocks small creatures on the ground. Aven Windmage is another just nice evasive creature to attack with. It also gets +1/+1 till end of turn whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell. So that could be something like Chart a Course, for example. Aviation Pioneer, it's a 1/2 that comes in with a 1/1 flyer. It's just a little bit of extra evasive creature stats right there. Exclusion Mage, when it enters the battlefield, return target creature an opponent controls to its owner's hand. This kind of mana war effect is really key for a tempo strategy. Basically, you get a blocker out of the way, or potentially bounce a much higher mana cost creature, basically negating your opponent's previous turn. Let's scroll down here. Tempest Djinn. You only get one of these for free. Eventually, you're going to want to get all 4 of them. This is just another evasive creature, and in a mono blue deck, its power just gets really, really big really quickly. One thing about this, which I've mentioned on one of my gameplay videos, is that if if you're playing against an opponent that's likely to have like a small board sweeper or something like that, like someone playing black, you're going to want to hold up a counter spell for this once you have counter spells in hand, so you can protect it. You can protect it somewhat in this build with Siren Storm Tamer. A Siren Storm Tamer won't help against abilities that don't target, though. Alright. Sky Scanner is just basically helping you draw through your deck and giving you another flyer to attack with. Deadeye Rig Hauler basically just goes alongside Exclusion Mage as another creature that can potentially bounce something. Bounce a more expensive creature of the opponent's. It doesn't really get a blocker out of the way because you have to attack first, but it gets the other side of the equation. Dreamcaller Siren. It can only block creatures with flying, so you can flash it into surprise block of another flyer. But as long as you control another pirate, which we have a few pirates in this build, this initial build, you can tap up to 2 target non-land permanents. So one thing that this is really nice for is you can flash it in before combat, tap down 2 potential attackers, and then they also can't block on your when it comes back around to your turn. Okay, Siren Reaver. This just is an efficient flyer, and it's more efficient if you've attacked with something. One thing this deck really wants to do is just attack with a lot of evasive creatures, and this fits right into that strategy. Sleep. Sleep just helps break a board stall, gets blockers out of the way, and keeps them out of the way for a whole extra turn. Juggernaut. I've just included this because it's an undercosted attacker. Can't be blocked by walls, which there are some walls being played in this format, so that's a little extra value. It does have to attack each combat if able, so except for the first turn that it comes into play, or the turn after that, it's not really going to work as a blocker or anything like that. Real Master Sphinx. This just bounces another creature, and it's a big flyer. That's really all it does. It's not the best rare you can have, but it is a pretty powerful card, and you get it for free, so we're playing it. Zahid of the Lamp is also just a big flyer, and potentially you get it at a discount. You have a few artifacts, artifact creatures that you can tap to help pay this Zahid's mana cost. Tap a Juggernaut, that's probably not the best, but a Sky Scanner or the token that Aviation Pioneer makes, maybe. And Nezahal, Primal Tide. Basically, it can't be countered. You have no maximum hand size, that's probably not going to make a big difference in this build. But whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, you get to draw a card. So that helps because even if they cast a kill spell to kill it, you're going to get a card. It's going to replace itself. Which basically makes it a 2-for-1. And you can discard 3 cards to basically bounce it, saving it from a spell. That's not something you're probably going to do very often either, but if somehow you get to 7 mana, it might be worthwhile keeping up to 3 lands in your hand that you could discard to this if you cast it. And then a bunch of violence. The only reason the count's so high is because this curve gets kind of high and you want to make sure you have mana to cast all these 4s right away. And there's not really that much else that you get for free that you'd want to include in here. In the competitive mono blue tempo deck, you're going to have a lot fewer islands. So, why don't I just... Alright, 2s and 3s, might as well keep it. Diamond Mare's a pretty good early drop, as it just gain us a bunch of life potential. Okay, there, choosing blue, of course. By the way, this tracker over here, tracking what cards I still have left in my deck potentially, that's called MTGA Tracker. It's worth looking if you're interested in that. Let's see here. We're gonna play even Midrange. Gain a life. Don't attack. Just gonna block with this. Got our Riddle Master Sphinx potentially for later. The last time I streamed with this, there was this MTGA Tracker. There were some issues, but there's been an update since then, so I'm hoping those issues have been taken care of. It would a lot of times always show a card in the deck, even if the deck was empty. And if I was playing best of 3, it would show the original deck after I sideboarded. I just played Aviation's Pioneer to get some more evasive. power here. Boy, and that's all. Let's draw a card. Yeah, that's what I was hoping for. Draw an island so I can also play Departed Deckhand. I'm gonna go ahead and attack first. Can't really... I guess I could have attacked with everything on the ground, but I guess I'd rather leave a blocker up. An extra blocker. And if I don't get mana for a real Master Sphinx, I can start making things unblockable except by spirits, I guess. Oh, the opponent conceded. Yeah, they weren't getting very far. Oh, my vault progress suddenly jumped. Must have been wrong. So, this deck is kind of built around a core card draw engine, which means you have evasive creatures, protection for them, and Curious Obsession to basically you slap that on an evasive creature and you attack, and draw a bunch of cards. Dive Down is one of the protection spells we have. Your opponent tries to kill it with some damage or kill your card draw the creature that Curious Obsession is on or going onto with some damage, or bounce it, or anything like that. You can, or target it with a kill spell. You can give it hexproof. That's the main thing, and also +3 toughness to keep it out of range of small damage spells to save it. Mistcloak Herald is just like the key creature to throw Curious Obsession on. Your opponent can't block it, so it's just going to be able to attack, draw a card, attack, draw a card, whatever. Siren Storm Tamer, that's more protection, and also if you play this turn 1, sometimes you throw a Curious Obsession on this to start the card draw engine early. Basically, you can, if someone tries to target your one of your creatures with a bounce ability or a destroy spell or damage spell or something, you can sacrifice this instead to save the targeted creature. Spell Pierce is just a way to basically counter a spell that an opponent's tapped out for, or almost tapped out for. Charter Course, we still have these in here. These persist all the way from the original deck, along with Siren Storm Tamer. Just efficient card draw. You want to be able to refill your hand, especially if you're not able to get your Curious Obsession card draw engine online as quickly as you want to, or if your opponent is able to deal with it. Most of the, at least game 1s, you're going to be dealing with creatures, unless you're playing against like Teferi Control or something. And Essence Scatter is just an efficient way to keep troublesome creatures off the board, off the battlefield. Merfolk Trickster. Basically, you can flash this in and keep an attacker from attacking, or tap a creature that might potentially block when it comes back around to your turn. If you flash it in on your opponent's turn, it works as a surprise blocker. Sometimes it's basically a 2-for-1 in a tempo deck like this. Metamorphic Alteration. Now, I've been told that you don't really need this card for this deck. It's iffy whether it's actually the most efficient use of this slot or not. I like it. You can copy a bomby creature that your opponent played, or very often you'll just copy your own Tempest Djinn. This can actually make something that's outlived its usefulness, like such as a Folk Trickster or something, turn it into a Tempest Djinn. Nightvale Sprite is just another cheap evasive creature that you can throw a Curious Obsession on. It's really nice to get a Curious Obsession onto Nightvale Sprite because you get to surveil, then when you hit them you get to draw, you get to set up that draw to some extent. Orkite Marauder is just it's good for getting big creatures to not be able to block easily, or like activate tricksy abilities and stuff. This is probably also something that could be replaced by just more Nightveil sprites or something, if you didn't want to use the rares. So there's probably 4 rares in this deck that you could potentially replace with commons or uncommons, if you really wanted to. I like this in the deck, but it's not a must-have. Tempest Gen, so the final version of the deck has the full playset of these. That's very important. These a lot of times are what are going to win you the game at the very end. You keep them from killing it, swing in twice for 7 damage, finish them off. Wizard's Retort. You have a few wizards in this deck. Let's see here. Merfolk Trickster, Siren Storm Tamer. I guess you just have 8 altogether. But this is at worst a cancel, which is not the best counterspell, but it's kind of the baseline. And it ramps up into basically original counterspell, which is very efficient. Counter any spell for 2 mana. And you can see our curve is much lower. We top out at 3. We don't have any 4s, 5s, 6s, and 7s like we did in the original deck, and we're playing a lot fewer islands. Let's go check out the sideboard here. Okay, 2 Disdainful Strokes. I actually have some videos posted where you're able to see the usefulness of this. A lot of times you'll have an opponent that's playing things like River's Rebuke and just other large creatures and things, like maybe a Lyra, and you just want to keep it off the board. This is great for that. A lot of times you'll have it in an opening hand and you just won't cast anything on before your opponent's 4th turn, because you can cancel it when they cast their 4-drop. Negate. This is basically to be sideboarded again against more controlling decks and decks with a lot of burn and things like that. Not a lot of creatures, just to counter those non-creature spells. Diamond Mare got moved from in the original deck, was in the main board, now it's in the sideboard, but when you're playing against an aggro deck that has a lot of 1 toughness and 2 power creatures, and that's trying to get your life total to 0 as fast as possible, blocker on the ground and some extra life gain can be very useful. Here's Exclusion Mage. Does the same thing. We put it in the sideboard because it's only useful against decks with a lot of creatures, so that's when you sideboard it in. Same with Sleep. If you're not playing against a deck that's gumming up the ground, this isn't very useful. If you end up playing against a deck like that, you can bring it in. And Syncopate is just more counterspell power when you're playing against decks that are playing a lot of spells that outclass what you have. You just sometimes have to be able to counter them. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and play a game or 2 with this deck so you can see how it plays. Not the best hand, but I really don't like mulliganing unless I really have to. I'm gonna go ahead and keep this. I see black. And I flash in this, tapping the blocker, I'm going to get at least 1 card off of this. Oh, there's my Mistcloak Herald. I want Curious Obsession on Mistcloak Herald. Okay, I'm going to play it a little risky. I'm going to put it on here. I'm going to start attacking with it. Hope I draw into some protection. Oh, another Tempest Gin. Okay, I'm just gonna play my Mystical Herald. Pass turn. I mean, I guess I got the card either way now. They have a kill spell that can kill the Mystical Herald before I even get to attack with it, so... Oh. Another Merfolk Trickster, that's nice. Okay, well, let's see what I draw. Yep. I kind of expected to find an Assassin's Trophy. Yeah, let's go get an island. And, I'll play Tempest Gin. Since I have another one in case they kill it. Shoot. Alright. Yeah. I'll take 3. Then I'll get their Ravenous Chupacabra out of the way. Okay, now I have protection. There we go. Attack. Get my Tempest Gin with Wizardry. And that gets countered.
Just a flesh wound.
Just a flesh wound, huh? Okay, Merfolk Trickster back. Yeah. Just go Herald. See if they have a way to kill Tempest Gin. Nope, but they do. It's pretty good. They're gonna have to block it, but get them down 2 more. I don't think I have a good reason to keep an island in hand. Okay. Now for sideboards, what do we want? They had a few kind of higher cost things that we can use Disdainful Stroke for. Disdainful Stroke stops Ravenous Chupacabra. Does not stop. What's it called? Assassin's Trophy. Just negates does stop. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna bring in some Syncopates. I'm gonna exchange those for maybe a couple Warkite Marauders. Probably 2 more Syncopates is okay. Yeah. Real decks look so much shorter. Alright. Let's go for it. Aggressive start. Hey. Look at all those Tempest Gins. I better have a lot of removal. Nice. Not report just yet. Oh, there's Doom Whisperer. Let me put it on the bottom. Sure, Spell Pierce is a good thing to have around. Play a Tempest Gin, just because we have an extra. There's much oops. Force them to deal with it. Gives us mana for our counter spells and makes our later Tempest Gins bigger. Yeah, I gotta start blocking. Oh, there's a Curious Obsession. Where'd my Spell Pierce go? Let's see here. Yeah, I'll put it on the Night Veil Sprite. Yeah, I'll leave Merfolk Trickster on top. Tried. Block this and this. And Trickster is a wizard, so I have mana for Wizard's Retort. Perfect. See if I can get some. Don't need another island just now. What I need is another counter spell. That's not it. The Tempest Gin. And I'll just play this since I can't really protect it. To the hand. Oh, we're gonna try to blow up Curious Obsession. So now I gotta keep 5 mana up, I think. Sure. I want to keep 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana up, but I can cast a Curious Obsession. I won the game. Got it. So, using only cards that you get for free through the new player experience and everything, you can build this deck. This is a fairly decent deck. You have 3 Gates of Lava Runners. This is just a pretty aggressive creature that can get bigger and get haste once you have cast a few burn spells. And then you have a bunch of burn spells. Sheave and Fire is basically the same as Shock, it just deals with early small creatures. And you have, in the later game, it can kill bigger things if you can pay 5 for it. Goblin Instigator just gives you 2 bodies to attack with. Lightning Strike is more burn, deals with slightly bigger creatures than Shock, also can finish off your opponent. Viashino Firemancer is just an aggressive creature that it's always going to deal at least, unless it gets counters, it's always going to deal at least 2 damage to your opponent, even if it can't attack, or it gets blocked or whatever. Fight with Fire is just another, it deals 5 damage to a creature, so it can kill a fairly big creature. And in the really late game, if somehow you get to 9 mana, it can deal 10 damage divided however you want, so you can function as a board sweeper or very often just finish off your opponent. E2 Lava Runner, Shock, Lightning Strike, Viashino Pyromancer, those are all going to end up in the main version of the final aggro deck we're building here. Fight with Fire will be in the sideboard to be brought in against decks where they're slowing you down too much and they have big creatures you need to deal with, and possibly that you just need to be able to have a little additional reach to finish them off after they've made it so you can't attack anymore. Repeating Barrage is just a nice burn spell that, as long as you're attacking, you can cast over and over again. Kills, you can use it to kill creatures, planeswalkers, or the opponent. A lot of times, if you know you're going to attack and you have a lot of extra mana up in the late game, you can cast this just to hit the opponent and then get it back to your hand right away after attacking. It's a little bit too high mana cost for the final aggressive version of this deck. Spit Flame, just 4 damage for 3 mana at its speed, it's not too bad, and this one you can also keep getting back as long as you have dragons to cast. In this mid-range version of the deck, you have some dragons to cast. There won't be any in the final version of the deck, and you won't have this in there. Captivating Crew is just a way to get, you can activate it repeatedly to get a blocker out of the way and actually get another attacker on your side of the battlefield. If somehow you get to 8 mana, you can do it twice in one turn, which can be pretty nice. You can use this on your opponent's turn to steal to keep a creature from attacking you if you need to, and use it to block their other creatures. Goblin Trashmaster. In this mid-range version of the deck, we have a few goblins. We have the guy who makes Goblin Token up here, Goblin Instigator. This is one of the first cards we're going to take out when we're transforming this into a more aggressive deck, but while the other goblins are here, we bring this guy along, and also he has some added benefit of being able to blow up some artifacts if you need to. Rekindling Phoenix is one of the best red creatures in the game. It's kind of a big evasive threat, can attack in the air, and it's hard to deal with. A lot of times your opponent's going to need to do 2-for-1 trade to enable to kill this and kill the token. You do have to be a little bit careful in some matchups, like if you're playing against opponents that have Goblin Chain Whirler or something, don't let this die when they have 3 mana and they might cast it out to finish off the token, things like that, unless you have to. Rowdy Crew, it's just basically a way to help draw through your deck. It's like rummaging twice plus a draw. And it might be able to be bigger if you discard 2 creatures or 2 lands or something like that. Not bad. Charging Monstrosaur, just a big surprise attacker. Demanding Dragon. Forces a kind of a hard choice on your opponent. All of these big things. None of these are going to be in the final aggressive version of the build. The main deck in the final aggro version is going to top, the curve will top out at 3 mana, and you'll have some 4-drops in the sideboard. We're starting with 24 mountains, we'll only have 20 in the main deck. In the final build, although we'll have 1 extra in the sideboard to side in if we bring in enough force to push the curve up. Siege Gang Commander, this is another guy who makes some goblins that can get pumped by Trashmaster and gives you nice things that you can do with your goblins if they can't attack or whatever. Siege Gang Commander's activated ability can also target planeswalkers or players, which is important to know. Burning Sun's Avatar is just a nice big bomb. You can use it. I've used it to finish off my opponent or get him low enough while removing a blocker that an attack can finish him off. Itali, it's pretty nice. You can steal your opponent's cards and cast them. Very powerful effect. Laughless mostly is in here just because it's a 6/6 flyer. You don't have a ton of dragons to go with it, but you have a couple. And 1, 2, 3 other dragons, so it can add up. Giving all of your multiple dragons fire breathing is kind of nice, and if you cast Laughless and then get out a a demanding dragon or a volcanic dragon, then you're getting extra 5/5s. Nothing to complain about there. Volcanic Dragon is basically charging Monster Sword on the ground, or in the air. It has 1 less power and toughness, costs 1 more, which is worth it with flying. Also, Silverclad Ferocidons. This is also one of the first cards to go in the aggressive build. This is not an aggressive card, but in the late game, basically, this can start attacking, they have to block it, and it's probably going to take 2 or 3 creatures for them to kill it, and then they'll have to sacrifice something else. So, can be pretty powerful. You're only going to see this in against usually. You're not going to see this against aggro decks, but you'll be able to play it against like token decks with some life gain and stuff like that. Banefire is just late game finisher. It scales with the game. You can use it to kill problem creatures if you have to. Although it's really nice just to keep it in your hand until you have enough mountains. Probably at least 6, because then it can't be countered, damage can't be prevented, and you just cast it and finish off your opponent. Alright, so let's go play a game or 2 with this one. Ghosty McGhosty. It's a good name. My name's just my name, which is kind of boring. Alright, let's go for it. Not the best hand, but I hate to mulligan unless I really have to. More than 1 spell, more than 1 land. In the aggro version of the deck, you basically just want... Your ideal hand is just 2 mountains and a bunch of stuff. Ooh, got an instigator. This is looking to be kind of probably a Boros aggro or maybe like a Goblin tribal. Oh boy. Yeah, they're gonna go wide and then pump it with some kind of tricks. Pump them with some kind of tricks. Captivating crew out. Guess they might just have a lightning strike, which would be kind of sad. That wasn't great. That's a lot of damage fast. Let's play this and get some more blockers. Do I attack? No, I better leave blockers up. There we go. Swing in the Monstrosaur. Right. Oh, tokens. Nope, now I have more mana to use with Siege Gang Commander and my shocks, so just keep swinging with Monstrosaur. Wonder if they have any white removal for it. Oh my gosh, look at all these tokens. So many goblins, so many gobs. Okay, so I need to block this here. Block this, block this, block this, block this, this. Alright. And, sure, I'll just take the damage. My turn. Oh, there's my silver-clad Verocidons. Nothing else, they're gonna have to start sacrificing lands. Got my big dinos out when I needed them. Oh, they're gonna gain some life. On the mountain. Oh, I should have used Captivated Crew to get blockers out of the way. Oh well. Ooh, settling my wreckage. That's not very nice. I'm gonna kill Inspiring Cleric. I'll go ahead and get a bunch of mountains. Couple mountains. Oh, I forgot you can't use Captivating Crew on their turn. What was I thinking? I can shock Mentor with the Meek, though. Which I will do. Okay, and now I can start grabbing their creatures. Attack with everyone, but I'm gonna leave. Actually, I'm only attacking with their creatures because I'm worried about another. And I want to be able to block. Steal them again. Alright. Now I play my Goblin Instigator. lifelinker. Oh man, I could have attacked with that. Oh well. Oofda. Yep, I got a trade. Oh boy, now it really is pumping itself. Shock? No. Oh, we're gonna concede this one. We'll play another game. Good again. Happy to see Rekindling Phoenix, and good chance that I'll draw another land by turn 4 to cast it with. Yeah, I can kill that. Worth killing. Alright, got some big 6s that maybe I can cast eventually. Alright. What's up with this pirate music? Oh yeah, it's a lot. Just weird because it kind of looks Mayan or something. Oh, they're gonna just try to burn me out. Got a lot of 6s. Oh no, lava coil. Yeah, we'll have those in the sideboard of the competitive version of this deck for sure. Same reason. Actually, I have a video I recorded today of sideboarding against an aggro deck when playing the final version of this in the mirror match. A lot of shenanigans with the Phoenix. Oh, they're just gonna shock me. God, that's a lot of burn. Nice. Oh, we're almost up to our 6. Oh man. Yeah. Experimental Frenzy can really go off. Oh, so that brought it out. I am very likely to just get burned out now at this point. If it goes quickly, I'll just play another play one more game with this. Okay, who do I want? I'm gonna go for the one that deals damage to them when it comes in. I don't think they're interested in blocking me. Doesn't kill a creature, but oh well. Sure if they're gonna hit me with that or Oh, that probably means they're about to finish me off. I don't have 9 mana for this. Game over? Game. So this deck basically just has play sets of a bunch of very small creatures and bird spells. Have Fanatical Firebrand, which you saw in the previous game. Just attack for 1 right away, ping for 1. G2 Lava Runner, this was in the budget version of the deck. Shock also, and Lightning Strike. These made it all the way from the original version of the deck. Runaway Steamkin, now this is something that can really run away with the game. Whenever you cast a red spell, you get a +1/+1 counter on it, as long as it doesn't have 3 yet, and you can remove 3 to get add 3 mana to your mana pool. A lot of times you'll end up just casting this on the next turn, doing like a shock and 2 1-drops, attacking with this for 4, and then using the mana to get a Goblin Chain Whirler or something like that. Flame of Keld. This is basically card draw for red. You play it, and when you play it, you discard your hand. So usually, when you play this, you're gonna have this is gonna be the only thing in your hand, or you might have just more of these, or maybe extra lands, extra mountains you don't need, or something. But then you draw 2 extra cards on your next turn, and on the turn after that, everything you have, all your sources of damage, deal 2 extra damage. That can be a big deal. A lot of times it's just incidental, but sometimes it matters. Yoshino Pyromancer, we saw this from the budget version of the deck. It always gets at least 2 damage in. Goblin Chain Whirler is carried over from the previous meta before Guilds of Ravnica came out. Basically, it sweeps your opponent's 1 toughest creatures off the board, and it's an efficient first strike 3/3. You can pair it with things like shocks and stuff to kill opponent's blockers and things without it dying. Risk Factor is another red version of a card draw spell. Usually an opponent will take the 4 damage off this, which is fine. 3 mana for 4 damage is super bad, especially at instant speed. But eventually, if you get them low enough, they're going to just have to start letting you draw cards, which will probably also mean they just that you win the game pretty quickly. And Wizard's Lightning is basically just some lightning bolts for your deck. You have E2 Lava Runner is a wizard, Yoshino Pyromancer is a wizard. Basically, you have 8 wizards to help turn this on. And also, these help turn on your E2 Lava Runner's ability of having an extra power and having haste. 20 mountains, down from 24. Our curve is much lower in this version of the deck. Now let's take a look at the sideboard. Here's our lava coils. Basically, you can sideboard this in against things that don't stay dead when you kill them, especially your opponent's Rekindling Phoenixes. Fight with Fire. This was in the original version of the deck. We have it in the sideboard here. Just bring it in and matches where you need it. Experimental Frenzy, our previous opponent kind of went off with this a little bit. Not quite enough to win the game, but you can see how powerful it is. I've only included one of these. I don't think it's as reliable as the other card draw spells in here, but Sometimes in a matchup where this is the only thing that's going to win the game, you're going to sideboard this one in and hope you draw it. Rekindling Phoenix, just hard to deal with unless you have Lava Coil. Sideboard these in and against decks that are going to be dragging the game out and where your small attackers just end up being not being of much use. Advances Blasting Cannons. This is another kind of red card draw spell. It lets you draw an extra spell to play each turn. It also gets you past lands, even though that's not what you want to happen. And if you're lucky enough to flip it, you just get 3 damage over and over and over again, which can be a game finisher. This is another thing to sideboard in against matchups where the board's getting stalled or whatever. And 1 mountain that you can bring in if you bring in a bunch of 4-drops and push your curve up a little bit, where 20 lands isn't going to cut it. Oh, I just noticed that the backgrounds of these are animated. That's interesting. Okay, anyway, so let's go play a game or 2 with this one so you can see how it plays out. Yep, this is the kind of hand we want to see. 2 mountains and things to spend them on. First Blood. And we want to get rid of that. That can get out of control. Now the hope with this deck is basically to try to hopefully dump your hand and then have a bunch of spells to cast. Or I mean, have some card draw spells to cast. Now E2 Lava Runner is activated, I believe. We're attacking for 3. Say hi to the camera. Oh, concede already, huh? I don't really know what to sideboard against, so I'm just gonna... Wish we had one thing right here, but let's go for it. I'll hurt. That out of the way. That. Ooh, still a damage. It's gonna be a little harder to deal with. Do we just burn it to death? Or do we trade something with it? Yeah, let's just burn it to death. We got hopefully some card draw coming up. I kind of want to play Risk Factor last. They're help it, so they're more likely to give you cards. Okay. It's fine, we'll just keep attacking. They can only block one. Then they have to give us cards, I believe. Oh, they let it. They let it kill him. Okay, you can see. You can see this deck is pretty crazy, pretty powerful. We're gonna try to do Budget Mono-Green Stompy, maybe. First thing we want is Llanowar Elves for our ramp. Looks like we start with 2 Llanowar Elves. No, 3 Llanowar Elves. So let's put all 3 of our starting ones in here. I have more than we start with, but I will just pretend I'm starting. Looks like we do start with a Galta, so let's put the Galta in. And I basically tried ramping up to that, I think. Let's see what else we got here. Horn Lieutenant we definitely want. Let's just put one of those in there right now. So let's put in our Gigantosaurus. Supposed to get him on turn 5 according to the commercial, right? Just keep a note of this. How does Aggressive Mammoth look? I have a feeling we're gonna have a lot of big 6 drops and stuff in here. Prodigious Growth. It's a nice finisher. Put one of those in there for now. Yeah, let's put the Gorkfly in. It's only a 4-drop. Probably want to put in the Carnage Tyrant that we start with. This thing is really good against anything that can't be countered, has X-Proof Trample. Really good against things like control style decks as a finisher. We'll put in Palaka Worm, that's just really good value. Actually, let's just put Tendershoot Dread in. We know we're going to want that. That thing can just... Doesn't matter if you have any other kind of Saproling creators or synergies, it's just a good card. While we're on this, while we're talking about Saprolings, we'll put Verdant Force in there. Let's put in Path of Discovery. That's a good way to kind of keep our hand full and help us move through our deck, since we don't really have a lot of card draw, especially in this opening collection. We don't get Generous Stray or anything. We'll put in Deeproot Champion. For now, we don't have a lot of Non-creature spells. We might end up taking this out. I'm just going to put it in for now, though. Don't know. I'm going to put Deep Root Elite in here for now, too. Don't know for how many other merfolk we're going to have, so we might end up just taking those out. They can be good. Excuse me. Now, Jade Light Ranger we definitely want. Multiple Explorer is good. Okay, let's see here. We probably want some more ramp. So where's Druid of the Cowl? Start with 2 of these. I think for now I'm just going to leave the forest at 24 and see where that gets us. Elvish Rejuvenator. Some more ramp for us. Not my favorite ramp, but we have 3 of those. Vigilant Baloth. Something nice to ramp up to that's not so expensive. Same with Centaur Courser. Basically, we just want things to attack with here. We have 3 of these. Of course, we want Rabid Bite for that's our mono-green removal. Got 3 of those. Something to fill out. I'll get 3 Avamaya Sap Herds in there. That's okay. I'm going to leave those other 2 merfolk in there for now. See if they're end up being a big drawback. Let's get some more Saprolings. We're not going all in on the Saprolings, but having some little blockers and stuff might be nice, especially since we can ramp up to these. So I'll put in both Spore Swarms and I've got 1 more spot open, so I'll put in a Saproling Migration. Now we have some non-creature spells to go with. Keeper Champion. And this thing at least grows other merfolk. Okay, let's just let's give this. Sometimes it's hard for me to tell if we got the curve too high, especially when I have all these 1-ofs. So, forest, some ramp. Keep it, see where it takes us. Got Jade Light Ranger. Turn 2 if we can. We don't just counter it. Actually, Elvish Rejuvenator. Yeah. Ramping some more. We're up to turn 3 Tendershoot Dryad. That's not so bad. First, they could just have a counter spell or something. Gonna have to be kind of careful. Get out of here, Itchy. Oh boy, that did not seem like the right choice. See how quickly this gets out of control. Oh! Well, at least they're not keeping us from casting another one. Cast our Jade Light Ranger. Forest and vault it on top. And we'll go ahead and cast Galvamias after that. And I guess attack for one. Let's see. Man, at least it's all 1-for-1 removal. Yep, now we're going to cast Gulta. We only need 6, so we can attack with Llanowar Elves. Here comes Gulta. See if they have some 1-for-1 removal for a 12-12 trample. Oh man. Alright. We're forcing them to deal with things. And slowly, kind of. Man. Oh, that's pretty controlling deck there. This do.
Shall we
card,
begin?
create a Thopter? Sure.
Builds with ease.
Okay, what are we gonna give the 7/7 trample? I guess a Saproling, right? One that's not summoning sick. And I can't cast the Alpha Minus Sappers, so I might as well do an all-out attack. Of course, doesn't have trample, unfortunately.
I know what must be done.
And we go ahead and attack everything. Yeah, it works pretty well. Nice. There we go. Let's just do a quick rundown of this deck and maybe play one quick game. So we have Llanowar Elves for ramp, Pelt Collector because it grows as we play all these creatures, Crawl, Harpooner. It can fight and kill a flying creature when it enters. Very useful. Thorn Lieutenant is just dissuades your or rewards you for your opponent casting non-creature spells, dissuades them from doing it. Assassin's Trophy is premium removal. Steel Leaf Champion is what this deck is named after. Small creatures can't block it. This is great against the aggro decks and the token decks. Thrashing Brontodon, very efficient stats, and it can blow up artifacts and enchantments. Nullhide Ferox is just hex-proof. I can't cast non-creature spells when it's out. That tends to not matter that much. Vivian Reed blows up artifacts, enchantments, creatures with flyings, and searches through your decks. Has an ultimate that can win you the game as long as you have other creatures. Gulta, we saw how powerful Galta can be as a finisher in the previous, in the last game we played with the budget version. Land, we have all of our dual lands here. From this side, where Duress is to basically get rid of Teferis and stuff before they can even cast them, and when they're playing against like control decks like Teferi. Assassin's Trophy gets rid of problem planeswalkers, enchantments, and things. Find Finality gets your creatures back after they've been killed, and can also be a small sweeper against aggro decks. Deathward Scavenger basically gets problem cards of the graveyard. Rickjaw Raptor is just a way to draw cards when you need it. This is also good against aggro and token decks. Fine Mare is just a nice X-proof attacker, and Braska can blow things up and make pirates, and you don't get to alter very often, but if you can, that can be pretty game winning. No sideboarding, so I'm not clear sideboarding, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, let's keep it. Hello. Play this. Oh shoot! I thought that was the other rare land. Oops. If Thrashing Brontodon's gonna have to blow that thing up probably. Would have been nice to just be able to get my Thrashing Brontodon out. I have to destroy Song of Freyalise, actually. Although I've already ramped up to Nullhide Ferox. Yeah, let's Thrashing Brontodon and destroy Song of Freyalise for its problem. I really only care about it on the next turn, so... I make me wish I had creatures in the graveyard, Crawl Harpooner. I don't know what Song of Freyalise is supposed to do for them, from our opponent right now. I don't feel that bad. You know what, let's just play our Nullhide Ferox, get another counter and Pelt Collector, and then go ahead and start attacking more. Oh, they might have, they might have a Settle the Wreckage. Yeah. I'm gonna settle both of these. Yeah, I'm gonna just attack. We'll see what happens. Live dangerously. Oh, no Settle the Wreckage. You got you're indestructible for one turn lifelink, dude. Nice. A lot of blockers. That's pretty nice. Now I gotta try to... Well, Legion's Landing might be a problem. We can play Steel Leaf. Let's play Outflux this. Oh, we can't do that. Shoot, I messed that up because I want to leave man open for Thrashing Crocodile. Okay, I'm gonna cast out a call. I'm just gonna attack with Nullhide Ferox. I gotta blow up Legion's Landing before they actually attack. Okay, what are they gonna target? Okay, now in response I blow up Landing. Yep, we had it. Okay, well, now I'm gonna do some cleaning and whatnot and head to bed. Thank you all for watching.